Good morning. Welcome to the Windsor Star News Cafe. I'm Don MacArthur. I'm here with Dylan Christie and Windsor Mayor Eddie Francis.
Good morning.
Excellent. Well, welcome. You went through it last week. We had some technical difficulties that you all are well aware of. But let's go through each ward in the city, talk about your endorsements. We already know Ward 1. Yep. Your brother, Fred Francis, he's running in that ward. Can you just talk about briefly why you do think he is the best candidate for the job other than through blood?
Yeah, well, obviously the blood relationship, but Fred is, Gord Henderson just wrote a piece this past Saturday. Fred has the experience. He's been around. He's certainly been very involved in my last several campaigns. And I think he brings a new energy, a business perspective and a fresh perspective to the council table. And he's got some great ideas, and he's rolled those ideas through his plan. Ward 1 has a number of candidates running, and I think that it's going to be interesting in terms of how things shape up there. I do know that Fred's been working hard, knocking on doors like the other candidates are, and I'm hoping for the best out there.
Excellent.
Henderson actually said he might well one day be mayor. Do you think he has mayoral aspirations? Be like his big bro?
Well, I think first Fred has to focus on getting elected to city council. But I do think that it's an important piece that Henderson wrote in terms of a discussion point, that when you're looking to choose councillors and when you're looking to elect councillors, you have to elect a council that is obviously made up of a diverse group of individuals and ensure that there are enough skill sets that are represented around that table. You want people that are visionaries, you want people that are hard-working constituent workers, you want people that bring a new perspective to the council from different areas, but you also want to be able to develop younger leaders for tomorrow's leadership. So I do think Fred presents that opportunity in terms of being young, coming to the table with a new perspective and with business experience, that if elected and if he does well and continues to do well like other younger individuals, that you're developing that bench strength, if I can use that term. You're developing a bench strength for future years. Not taking anything away from other councillors, but if you look around the table, I don't think Hillary Payne or Ed Sleeman or others are going to run for mayor anytime soon. So I think you need to really develop a bench strength and be very mindful of that so that you've got a very balanced council.
Well, he's young and passionate. Now, Ward 2, do you have any candidate that you'd like to endorse there?
I'm not endorsing anybody in Ward 2. And, we talked about this last week. In certain races, I'm endorsing if I'm asked. Instead, I may not be endorsing completely. But in Ward 2, I think it's going to come down to John Elliott and Frank Favitt. John Elliott, who came very close to upsetting Ron Jones last time. What was it, three votes after the weekend?
5, I think.
Is it 5 votes?
5, yeah.
So 5 votes. So I think, John's got that base to build on. The question is going to become, was that an anti-Ron vote that parked itself with John? And if that's the case, I think Frank Favitt is a great leader, has been well known, involved in the school board, has been involved in the community. I like Frank. He's being supported by the NDP and by Labour. He's out there knocking on doors. I think Frank would be a great addition to City Council. But Ward 2 is going to be, I think, come down to John Elliott and Frank Favitt. And it's going to be interesting to see where the constituency goes.
Cool. Now, it took a bit of a push, but you did make an endorsement for Ward 3. Can you just briefly go over that? You said that Reno Bordelin, you think would make an excellent choice.
Well, I think Ward 3 has 2 candidates to choose from. But if you're driving around Ward 3, you're probably noticing all the Maggio signs. And Maggio's been out there doing a lot of work.
Filed on day one, yeah.
It's filed on day one. Maggio makes no secret about his desire to be on City Council, but I think Ward 3 is going to be a very important race to keep an eye on, and I think it's going to be important for people to ask the real questions in terms of the candidates and who they are and what they represent. In Ward 3, I think the 2 candidates that I think would be very viable candidates would be Caroline Postma and Reno Bordelin. Caroline brings a deep experience and understanding of council issues from a ward perspective and from a citywide perspective. I've had the benefit of working with Caroline when she served as a councillor while I was mayor, and I think that she was an asset and continues to have a great experience that she can bring to the ward. I am endorsing Reno. I've had conversations with Reno. I do like, I don't know him until now. I do like the ideas that he's presented and the vision that he's presented. And I think that a council would benefit from that type of involvement and engagement. We did have honest discussions, Reno and I, because some of the concerns that I have and that we haven't talked about on this show yet, I don't think, is that there seems to be at the council level significant movement by the political parties to get councillors elected.
Well, he's a
And-
card-carrying federal liberal.
It is card-carrying federal liberal, and if you look at the races, Ward 3, Ward 2, John Elliott
Yeah.
is part of the federal executive or federal team, whether it's executive or director. Reno is as well part of the. He's either a director or a member of the executive. Remy Bobo.
4, yeah.
And if you go down the list, Irick and Bill and others. So I did have a good, honest discussion with Reno, because at the end of the day, you want council candidates that are going to come of free will to the council table to make independent decisions that are in the best interest of the constituents. And the last thing that you want is this long string that's tied to them to a political party,
Yep.
whether at the provincial or federal level, because that's not what municipal politics should be about. So Reno assures me that he's his own individual, that he's coming to this table to represent the constituents, and that despite his allegiances in the past, that's not the case this time around. So I'm going to hold him to that. I hope that's to be the case. But I am. He did ask for my endorsement, and I am endorsing Reno.
Very cool.
Okay, no endorsements in Ward 4, but you seem to be leaning towards 1.
Yeah, Ward 4 is going to be an interesting one, because there are a number of good qualified candidates. My personal opinion, given the rollout of a campaign, campaigns are pretty interesting. It's not only the individual, but it's their agenda, their vision, what they're proposing, plus their ability to mount a very significant campaign, knocking on doors, getting the message across. The ground game needs to be very effective. I think if you looking at the tea leaves, Remy probably will win this one, given how she's been out there, that she's been knocking on doors. But she does, again, have a very significant team behind her, and Dan Allen, Joyce Zuck, and others, and some liberals that have the experience of putting on a campaign. Nobody's asked me for my endorsement in that ward. I do like Chris Holt. Or sorry, I should qualify. Candidates have asked me for endorsements in that ward. Adriano's another good candidate that's running, that presents a vision and difference. I think Chris Holt, who did not ask for my endorsement, would be a good candidate, just because where council is going to have the opportunity to build on our previous record. If you look at everything that we've done at the city council table for the last 11 years, we've gone from focusing on finances to focusing on infrastructure, then the border, then economic development and job creation. And in the last term, quality of life matters, right? Libraries, fire halls, bike lanes. The next council is going to have the opportunity to build on that and take it to the next level. And Chris, I think, has, and I haven't had any conversations with Chris, this is just based on my research. I think Chris brings an interesting dynamic and interesting perspective to the council table. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not the ground games are going to be strong enough to compete with Remy's ground game. But we'll see.
Excellent. And Ward 5, you said before that Ed Sleeman, you think that every ward needs a councillor like Ed Sleeman?
Yeah, I think Ed Sleeman is I know he's a hard worker, and I know that he does a lot of work for the constituents. Where Ed has a weakness, I think it's his inability to be political. He's not the type of guy that runs after the spotlight. He's not the type of guy that wants his name in print or headlines. But he works very hard, and if you ask our council colleagues, I think most of them will agree that he does the constituency work, and he does the hard work that's required to represent his constituents. And I think based on that, that's what you want around a council table. So I am a strong supporter of Ed Simmons, and I hope that he's able to get back in.
Okay, so we just ran through wards 1 to 5 with Windsor Mayor Eddie Francis, and we're going to come right back and run through wards 6 to 10. We're in the Windsor Star News Cafe.